Now I want to show you how to create your first schedule, how to add participants to this schedule, and how to define which participant have to take which exam module. First of all, we will log in into the bizExaminer back office. And after login, you will see this screen. On the top right, you have this select menu, and you can see here all the user roles which are attended to your user account. The user role which is responsible for creating and managing schedules and for managing participants and participant groups is called schedule admin or proctor. The name depends on the configuration of your bizExaminer instance. On the left side, you see three main navigation sections. The first of all called groups, where you can define and manage participant groups. The second one called participants, where you see your already created participants. And the third one, the examinations section, where you can create schedules and watch them, jumping through these so-called workflow folders. After you have created your schedule, it will appear in the folder created. After you have provided the access credentials to the participants, the schedule will jump into ready for examination. If you have question types used in exams in this schedule which have to be manually marked, then the schedule will jump into to mark manually. After all participants have done their exams, the schedule jumps to completion in progress. And after PDF certificates or such other things are generated and finally created, the schedule jumps into done. Now we will start to create our first schedule by clicking on Create Schedule. A step form will appear, and first of all it will be defined in which organization this schedule will be carried out. If you have multiple organizations attended to your user account, you will find a drop-down menu, a select menu here to select the correct organization. Next we will give it a schedule name. Then we have to select the correct time zone where the schedule will be carried out, and the date and time duration for the schedule. This is not the duration for the exam modules itself, it's the time period where the exam modules could be started and resumed. By clicking on the next button, we will jump to the second step. If there are manual marking needed in this schedule, we have to select the manual marker person here in this select menu. If this schedule should be remote proctored, then there is a menu, and with this menu you can select pre-configured remote proctoring solution accounts. So initially you will have no accounts here, but if you have an account at one of these remote proctoring solution providers, then you can connect your proctoring account with your bizExaminer account. How this works, I will show in another video. If you select one of these remote proctoring solution provider accounts, depending on which you are selecting, there are additional options you can define here. In example, if it should be recorded and reviewed, or an additional camera through smartphone is needed, and so on. Below, if it's needed for the scheduling process, you can define the shipment address for printed certificates or the billing address for the taking exams. By clicking on the next button, we will jump to the third step. Currently, there are no participants added to the schedule. By clicking on the button Add Participant, another window came up on the screen with following options. In this form, you can create participants manually by entering the data. Then there is the option to search for already existing participants within this bizExaminer instance. Or if there is a pre-configured group available, you can load a list of participants from out one of the pre-configured groups. Or you can load the list of participants out of an already existing other schedule. And at last, there is the possibility to import a list of participants from out a CSV file. An example for such a CSV file could be downloaded here. For this demo, I will enter the participants manually. The email address is only important if you want to send the access links to the exams through automatic email directly to the participants. For each participant, I have to select the exam which have to be taken by this participant throughout this schedule. For John, I will select English Language Exam Level E, and I will add a second participant. And define English Language Exam Level B for her. For each participant, there will be automatically generated access credentials and also direct login URLs. But if you need additional security and want to define an access code which have to be entered by each participant when taking an exam from out the schedule, then it's possible to define this access code here. And if you want that your manually entered or created participant list will be saved as a group to be reused at a later time, you can define a group name at the bottom of this third step from the schedule form. Now we have entered John and Janine and defined the exams for them. And by clicking on the button Next, the last step of this form we will see here. And here we have to define for each of the participants which exam modules of the exams have to be taken through this schedule. I will simply click Select All, which means John have to be taken Module A1 and Module A2 out of the exam English Language Exam Level A, and Janine have to be taken Module B1 out of the exam English Language Exam Level B. By clicking on Save Schedule, the schedule is saved, and we see on the left hand side in the folder created there is one schedule. By clicking on the folder on the right side, the list of the schedules in this folder will be shown, and by clicking on one of these schedules on the bottom there are the details and the actions from this schedule visible which are available.